professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Hi, my name is Eric Dominguez, and I am the founder and owner of Speak Up Stories. Welcome to our Speak Up Signature Showcase. As I stand here and speak to you, there are two cameras looking right at me. There are friends in the audience that I consider family, and there are family and friends at home watching. And my heart is racing. And I can feel the beads of sweat and anxiety building. And I can hear the whispers of doubt shouting at me to sit down, to be quiet, to let others speak. And this is interesting because I am a public speaking trainer and a public speaking coach. What kind of credibility, what kind of speaking do I bring to my clients when I transform their speaking fears into fuel? This is how I feel every single time I speak in front of an audience. And let me tell you, it would be really easy to not be nervous. If I were coaching myself to not be nervous, this is what I would say. Give the audience a very standard, simple introduction. Just talk about the great work that this done over the last 12 weeks to perfect their message, inspirational talks, and then introduce the first speaker and get out of the way. And let me tell you, that is tempting because it is safe, secure, and standard. And if you're looking for safe, secure, and standard speaking, my recommendation to you is to shut this off. Because you're going to get a lot, but you are not going to get safe, secure, and standard speaking. And I don't blame you if that's what you want, because that's what we're used to. That's what we've been trained by. I had a great conversation with someone this week, and he asked me if our verbal communication skills, our public speaking delivery skills were diminishing because we hide behind technology. And I told him that while that thought has good intention and some merit, it's really wrong. The core of the matter is that we've never had true public speaking, face-to-face communication training in the first place. Most of us, our training extends to that really memorable and really unmemorable 3 weeks in our either junior high or high school career where we learned the classic 5-paragraph essay structure, which is the exact same structure as the classic 5-paragraph speech. You know it, and I know it, but let me recap it just for the sake of argument. You start with a catchy attention getter, then you set up the topic, then you have a nice piece of evidence that leads to your thesis statement, followed by a preview, then leading into your paragraphs that have a topic sentence, a transition, a setup to the actual argument and evidence, an explication of that argument and evidence, and then you repeat that process over and over and over again until you get to your nice tidy conclusion where you restate the attention getter, talk about what you have talked about, and then give the audience a nice clinching statement that makes them feel warm and fuzzy or makes them think. And that's great. And there's nothing wrong with schools teaching the standard 5-paragraph essay structure or the standard 5-paragraph essay speech. Just like there's nothing wrong with my 2 sons having training wheels on their bikes to learn what the task and the skill is about. What is wrong is when we apply these training wheels, when we apply these safe, secure, and standard structures into the professional world. It's kind of like putting training wheels on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Is it useful? No. Is it helpful? No. In fact, if anything, it's really going to prevent the Harley-Davidson motorcycle from doing what it is intended to do, just like in the professional world. You see, no matter what role you play, no matter what your business is, no matter what your company is, no matter who your team members are, every professional environment has one common denominator: people. And people are complicated and messy. And complicated and messy people have complicated and messy ideas. And complicated and messy people cannot express their complicated and messy ideas using old, standard, safe, secure speaking structures. Author Peter Gaber, who is a filmmaker and a famous film executive, who also is the famous film executive behind the Christian Bale Batman series. And if you can't trust the guy who created the Christian Bale Batman series, who can you trust? He said it this way: "For too long, business worlds have ignored or belittled the power of oral narrative, preferring soulless PowerPoint slides, facts and figures, and data. But as the noise level of our modern life has become a cacophony, the ability to tell a purposeful story that can be truly heard is increasingly in demand." No matter what your professional role is, if you are not investing in your public speaking skills, if you are not speaking out about the work that you do in the world, if you are not showing yourself how powerful you can be with your verbal message, you're selling yourself short. And it's not just in the professional environment that we get to speak up our stories. It's also in the personal environment. And it's in that intersection between personal and professional speaking that really sparked the idea behind Speak Up Stories. It was right before my 40th birthday, and I was in a time of major transition. I was transitioning out of the world of education. I was transitioning out of my abuse of alcohol. And I was transitioning into my new self. And in this transition, a quote by one of my favorite authors kept coming to mind. And I think it's because I've been a public speaker and a public speaking coach for over 20 years that quote felt to me like the beginning of a speech. It felt like the beginning of a story that I wanted to tell, that I wanted to share, that I wanted to include others with me in that journey. But there was nowhere to speak that story out loud. And that's critical, because when we speak the words out loud, we gain power with them. Author Mark Brunette, who wrote Permission to Feel, said it this way: "When we label our emotions with precise words and we speak them out loud, it does four things. It legitimizes and organizes our experiences. It helps others meet our needs. It helps us meet the needs of others. And most importantly, it connects us with the world." As I was in this very difficult transitional time, I wanted that connection to the world. I wanted that power of verbal messaging. I did what most people do when they want to share a message. I attached a photo and created my less than 1 minute, less than 100 word speech that was so important to me, and I posted it on social media. But that fell short. It fell short of the power of speaking declarations in front of an audience. So before we move on, I want to share that less than 100 word, less than 1 minute speech that was the starting point of Speak Up Stories. Shakespeare said it this way: "When sorrows come, they come not single spies, but in battalions." To all of the battalions of sorrows that shamed me, exposed me, and broke me, thank you. Thank you. The pain and lessons and mirror you brought me are invaluable. But I bring to you a warning. Joys also come not single spies. And I learned to fight back. and I built battalions of my own. And we are headed your way. And that's it. Just a simple, well-crafted speech performed in front of people gives us power to our transformation. That's why we're here today. The Speak Up Stories programs and the Speak Up Stories stage is here to support people to find those precise words to be truly seen and heard. The speakers you will see today, they're going to open up their minds, their hearts, and their ideas to you. They're going to share the work that they have done over the last 12 weeks of their focused and inspirational message. They will be powerful and confident and at times messy and fun, because that's what speaking is. And no matter what, even with hearts pounding, even with sweat and anxiety building, even with the whispers of doubt shouting in their ears, they will be anything but safe, standard, and secure. And on that, let's go to our first speaker.
Fail to plan and plan to fail. Back when I was in college, there was a billboard hanging above an old apartment complex, and it said, "Fail to plan and plan to fail." And I remember thinking, well, what a perfect motto. Yes, if you don't plan, surely you'll fail. Planning is the simplest way to get from point A to point B. It's black and white, kind of like a board game. You start here, you want to be here, focus, climb, success. I was raised by my mom, who worked multiple jobs to support my 3 sisters and I. I knew from a very young age that we didn't have a lot, and that I, if I wanted a future, was going to have to create it on my own. Also, my mother told all of us at least 3 times a day, if you want a future, you're going to have to create it on your own. I had drive, I had discipline, I liked school, I was good at it, and I knew from a young age what I wanted to do. Something in beauty. I remember playing with my sister's beauty parlor, as we called it. I was always the hairstylist, of course. And I remember drawing pictures of women complete with makeup, of course, always had their eyeshadow and lipstick on. And I remember cutting out pictures from the Sears catalog of furniture so that I could decorate my own mansion. And when I was old enough, I would trot to the local library and I would rent every single girly magazine, Teen, Vogue, Cosmo, and I would flip through the pages to the beauty advertisements. And I would think, yes, that's the life that I wanted to live. So I put my head down and I worked really hard. I got scholarships to attend college. And then I got my master's degree from a top graduate school. And then I got recruited by Procter & Gamble to work in their beauty division, marketing global beauty brands, a dream come true. By my early 30s, I had surpassed every success metric I'd ever laid out for myself. I had a great career doing what I loved. I had a dark, tall, and handsome husband. He told me to say that. And I had 2 beautiful children, 2 boys that I was just madly in love with. Everything was perfect on paper, because in real life, I was a hot mess. I was stressed. I was exhausted. I had anxiety bubbling up inside me like the inside of an Instapot pressure cooker. I was always working. And when I wasn't working, my laptop was still on in my head, barking orders at me. Come on, just do one more thing. Be better, be faster. Keep your eye on the prize. And when I wasn't working or thinking about work, which was not very often, I was finding myself engaging in the busy wars. You know what I'm talking about. It goes something like this. Oh my God, Bianca, I am so sorry I didn't call you back. Today has been insane. I had to take the kids to the pediatrician appointment this morning, then I had to run to work. I had back-to-back meetings, including one with my VP, which was absolutely grueling. And then I had to race back to the daycare, go back home, make dinner, do bath, bedtime, you know the drill. Hold on a minute, hold on. I gotta put you on speaker. Okay, I'm just finishing the brownies for the bake sale that I'm spearheading tomorrow. So anyway, so today I had 1 peanut M&M for lunch. 1. And I found it in the bottom of my purse while I was pumping milk for the baby and also typing out a PowerPoint presentation for my boss. It was insane. And then I would listen to the other side to see if the other mom had one-upped me. Eventually, life's Instapot started to erupt. And it manifested itself into vertigo, random dizzy spells that I would have throughout the day, and then debilitating panic attacks. The scariest panic attack that I had was on the 405 interstate in Los Angeles during rush hour at dusk. My arms went numb, my legs went numb, I got tunnel vision, and the only thing I could hear was a loud ringing sensation. It could have ended in disaster, but thankfully I made it to the ER safely. But yeah, that was a wake-up call. Oprah said in 2018 at a commencement speech to students at the University of Southern California, "You are not your job. Your job is just something you're doing along the way to who you will become." I wish that somebody would have told me that when I graduated. Actually, I wish Oprah would have told me that, but I'm not sure I would have even believed her, because everything that I had seen and heard up until that point was completely the opposite. What do you want to be when you grow up? A doctor, a lawyer, an astronaut, a teacher maybe. Isn't it crazy to think that we start to identify by a single occupation or job title before we're even ushered out the door to grade school? And then it's followed up with phrases like, follow your passion. And if you find your passion, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And don't get me wrong, passion is great. And being good at your passion is even better. But there is a fine line between passion and poison, and I had crossed it. Doing it all the time, results in anxiety, injury, illness, employee burnout, employee turnover. In the US, we spend up to $190 billion every year in healthcare costs associated with employee burnout. Deloitte conducted a study in 2015, and they looked at employees and burnout. 77% of employees reported that they experienced burnout in their current job. And over half said they experienced it more than once. What I find to be really interesting about this study is they also looked at if these employees had passion for those jobs. 74% said, yes, I have passion for my job. And those 74 also experienced burnout. It completely debunked the myth that if you're passionate about your job, that somehow you're immune to workplace stress. You're not. Let's face it, we are on all the time. Our value is based on our productivity, and we wear our badge of busy with honor and pride. Here in the United States versus other like countries, we work more hours. We have less vacation time, if we take it at all, and we have less in benefits, ranging from health care to retirement to maternity leave. Derek Thompson penned a piece in The Atlantic in 2019, giving a name to this. He called it workism. The belief that one's core identity and life's purpose centers around work, and that any policy promoting human welfare must also promote more work. So what do we do with this? This sounds like a massive problem, ranging from public policy to private policy to workplace culture, even how we talk to our own children. And I would say, yes, that's correct. It is a complex puzzle, but it starts with us. It starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with each and every one of us saying no to the hustle culture, saying no to the notion that busy is always better. You are not your job. You are not your to-do list. You are worthy of rest and reflection and joy and adventure and love. You are not a machine created for doing. You are a human created for being. After my panic attack on the busiest freeway in the US, I started to practice some real self-care. Not just the beautiful self-care on the outside, like face masks, but the dirty, internal, really tough self-care, like learning how to manage my anxiety, like saying goodbye to perfectionism, like learning how to be still and present. And as part of this process, my husband and I decided to relocate from Los Angeles to Des Moines, Iowa, to be near family and to have a slower pace of life. But life had other plans for us. On May 15th of 2017, my younger sister passed away. She was beautiful and smart and funny and one of a kind. And she loved nothing more than her 2 children, whom she left in the care of my husband and I after she passed. Everything I knew about success went up in flames. I had no idea how I was going to take care of 4 kids and have a career and stay married and not lose myself in the process. The last few years have been the hardest years of my life, but they have also been the most rewarding years of my life. With a lot of help and a lot of grace, we have rebuilt. And I'm very keen to the fact now that life is nothing like a board game. Passing go and collecting $200, building hotels on Park Place, and finishing first. In real life, there are no winners or losers. And the finish line, well, it's the same for each of us. Maybe life isn't all about being fully planned out. Maybe in life's uncontrollable twists and turns lies life's greatest lessons and treasures. And maybe life is not all about turning our passion into profit. Maybe life's greatest achievements can never be quantified. And maybe life isn't about who's winning the busy wars. Maybe living fully and deeply and true to ourselves is the bravest thing that we can ever do. Today, I still work for a beauty company. And I love what I do, and I'm good at it. But the rest of my life is no longer just the crumbs. It's my main course. I'm a health and wellness advocate. I'm a dancer, if my kitchen counts. I'm a hiker, a gardener. I love to be a mom, an aunt, a wife, a sister, and a really good friend. And I am all that and so much more because I am me and I am still becoming.
and I drove across the country to start my business in Des Moines, Iowa. This should have felt like a homecoming. I was born here, I went to high school here, I went to college here, my entire family lives here. But what should have felt like coming home felt like entering a brand new community. The 10 years that had passed since I lived here meant that I got to start over. So that's exactly what I did. I started my business, and for the next 3 years, I ran fast. I started with 0 clients and $0 and built my business into hundreds of clients and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was getting awards, and I was being asked to join committees, and I was succeeding by all measurements that I was proud of myself. I was even getting on the news for picture litter. During all of this time, my networks were growing larger, and my social media posts were getting a whole lot of likes. And my coffee calendar was bursting at the seams. I was rising. I was feeling the success, and I was jumping on this self-made trampoline that was catapulting me into the thin air of success. It was in March of 2019, 3 years later, that I realized that I could no longer feel the impact of that bounce. I had grown numb to the velocity of my accomplishments, and I had started to dull the pain of what it took to get what I wanted. It was in this realization that I looked around and saw that I had started bubble wrapping whole parts of myself. And while it worked to seal in my pain, I was systematically shutting myself off from other people. It's only a matter of time before our instincts, our basic human drive to exist, the thing that creates our success, will humble us to our knees.
Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story.
and I drove across the country to Des Moines, Iowa. This should have felt like a homecoming. I was born here, I went to school here, I went to college here, my entire family lives here. But a decade had passed, and this community was foreign. I got to start over. And that's exactly what I did. For the next 3 years, I was sprinting. I was building my business from 0 clients and $0 to hundreds of clients and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was doing it. I was getting awards. I was being asked to join committees. I was getting on the news for picking up litter. By all accounts, my networks were growing, my social media posts were getting liked, and my coffee calendar was booked solid. I was rising fast, and I was jumping on this self-made trampoline that was catapulting me into the thin air of what looked like success. 3 years later, in March of 2019, I had been building my dream. And during this time, there was a moment where I realized that I could no longer feel that impact of my bounce. I was starting to numb to the velocity of my accomplishment, and my pain was dulled to what it was taking to create all of this. I had created my dream, but in doing so, I had systematically bubble wrapped whole parts of myself. And while it served to insulate my pain, it also created a hefty boundary between myself and anybody else who tried to get near me. It's only a matter of time before our instincts, the very things that catapult us to success, will humble us to our knees. That's exactly what my instincts did. My basic instinct, my desire to always appear to be in control, to appear powerful and self-made and like I've got it. All of those things had left me feeling like a congenial robot. And it was in this moment when I was bouncing high and breaking every single one of my boundaries and living life, not paying attention, that I realized that it had become easier to be a successful shell than it was to admit that the thing I created no longer brought me joy. So it was in this moment of realization that I got real with myself, and I just shoved that trampoline to the side, and I hit the ground. And I'm there, and I'm back to the ground, face to the sky, looking up at that thin air that I came from. And I had this sudden realization that I couldn't feel anything. And I hadn't felt anything for years. I remember sobbing to my mom in this moment of realization. People praise me, they thank me, they tell me I've made an impact on their lives, and I can't feel it. I couldn't feel it. And it was in this moment where I realized that I wanted to punch people who were praising me, that I wanted to just crawl into a dark hole and not come out. And so that's what I did. I declared no meetings March. I literally declared this to all of the social media world. I wrote a blog. I canceled meetings. I turned off my phone. I only showed up to events that had already paid their invoice, and I stayed home. Now, we know something about staying home now because we just survived 2020, but back then, this was radical. This was a crazy idea. I was spending a month all by myself, and you guess what I did? Nothing. I did nothing. I mean, I did stuff. I read a book, cover to cover. I hadn't done that in 3 years. I went to the grocery store and I made myself a meal. I went for walks with my friends. I took naps. I stared at my fireplace and wondered what had happened. I didn't shine. I didn't really accomplish anything. I certainly didn't bounce on that trampoline. And it was in this pause, this self-inflicted quarantine, that I started to come back to myself. And I looked inward and I began to ask myself what would become my most pivotal question over the next couple of years. I asked myself, what does growth feel like? I had this catalog in my brain of what growth wasn't because I had been doing it for the past 3 years. Growth is not measurable. It's not the amount of clients you have. It's not a degree. It's not an award. It's not being on the news. It's not how many social media posts you get liked. And it's not about how many people post on your wall for your birthday. Growth isn't going to whisper that little lie that you're fine, just as you are. Growth isn't happening in boredom, and it's certainly not happening when we're making excuses. Growth isn't comfortable, and it's not safe, and it doesn't happen when we're not working on it. Growth is messy, and it feels risky, and it feels uncomfortable, and it feels like you're stepping out on a ledge. Growth feels slow and arduous and sometimes extreme. And all of the time, it feels vulnerable. Growth feels like that spot in your soul or on your body that you don't want to talk about. You don't even want to acknowledge it's there, because the second you say that you have that soft spot, that soft underbelly, the second you say that it's there, you know you have to get in there. And growth is when we look at that spot and we give it the attention it deserves. Growth is that dark cave that I wandered into in No Meetings March, but it's not a declaration, it's a journey. That cave is possibilities, it's chance, it's creating what's out there for us. And growth is what it feels like to have our backs against the ground. It's what it feels like when we're doing the dirty work of becoming ourselves. Growth is what it feels like when we let go of what's happening up there in the air. In 2020, us as individuals, as a community, as a world, we landed. We fell out of that thin air of success, and we landed on the ground, and we had to feel the pain of watching ourselves fall. It was in this quarantine of 2020 that the world got to do what I did a year before. We paused. We reflected. And if we did the work, we took a moment to see how who we were as individuals had contributed to our collective downfall. 2021 is a new moment, but nothing changes unless we do. So this year, instead of resolutions, because let's be honest, we're halfway through January and we probably haven't kept them, I am going to call for a revolution. A complete and total revolution of the only thing that we can actually control: our mindset. I'm asking us to set aside our fears and step into the power of our voices. I'm recommending that we oust that outdated committee of opinions that rattle around in our brain and stop us from moving forward. And I'm encouraging us to step into the place where we have ultimate control, our mind. Each of us carries with us a set of patterns that make up our personality. Each of us have been blessed with being able to run on autopilot with these patterns. Our body and our mind simply do that for us. But sometimes that blessing turns into a curse because those patterns were not meant to work forever. Most of our patterns, most of what makes up our personality, was created when we were kids. It was created when we didn't have power and control and agency over our own lives. Our personality patterns were created when someone else was calling the shots. And if we haven't examined them, if we haven't taken that moment, that's exactly how we're still functioning as kids in adults' bodies running old patterns. So as we set about this internal individual revolution, there are 9 different lines of code that run through our ways of being. There are 9 different ways that we get to revolutionize our mindsets and how we show up in this world. So I'm going to share them with you now. 1, we get to revolutionize our mindset around what it means to be perfect. We get to revolutionize our mindset around right and wrong and release being right in order to get it right. 2, we get to revolutionize our mindset around how we serve others better than ourselves. We get to pour into ourselves the same way we show up for others. 3, we get to revolutionize our mindset around efficiency and accomplishment and putting on a mask in order to be the most acceptable version of ourselves no matter where we go. 4, we get to revolutionize our mindset around what it means to be misunderstood. And we get to release that feeling that everyone should know what we're talking about all the time. 5, we get to revolutionize our mindset around needing to know it all before we act. And 6, we get to revolutionize how we trust and know that trusting comes within ourselves, not with 6 backup plans and a tightly woven net. 7, we get to revolutionize our relationship to commitment. We get to revolutionize showing up for ourselves and the things we've said yes to. 8, we get to revolutionize our relationship between the words powerful and vulnerability. And we get to know that those 2 things don't exist without each other. And 9, we get to revolutionize our feeling of belonging. Because when we feel like we belong to ourselves, we get to belong to everyone else too. Now, this is the world that we all get to revolutionize. These are the mindsets that our country gets to adopt, but they don't happen out there unless they happen in here. Broke people break things. Whole people heal. I sometimes wonder if anyone notices all the work I've done over the past 2 years. I wonder if people can see that I have changed, that I have done the dirty work of growing, that I have gone into that cave and seen what there was to see and come out the other end, marching into March of 2021 as a completely different person. But then I would realize that if I'm looking out there for people to tell me that I've grown, that I'm just looking for another gold star. And we have established already today that gold stars are not what growth is made of. I am walking into March of 2021, 2 years after that pivotal moment, and I am joyful. I wake up in the morning and I am excited about what's going to happen. I am strong, but I'm not steel. I am powerful without overpowering. I'm in control without the obsessive need to control everything. And perhaps the most important is that I'm loved. First by myself, and then by a man who walked into my life during all of this. And I let him love me. And I let him give me a family. And then I let him encourage me to share this story with you guys and share myself with you today. And if you're wondering if I'm going to have meetings this March, the answer is yes. I am going to have connected, fun, exhilarating, inspiring meetings in my new Enneagram community, The Circle, where we will laugh, we will inspire each other, we will grow, and we will revolutionize ourselves. See you in March.
You know it. Everybody knows it. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down, broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. It's no coincidence that I am Jill. I really did roll down the hill. And I'm going to tell you how it really went down. Jill used the map, stayed on track, and met and married Jack. Hand in hand, they climbed the hill to the promised land. But the top of the hill wasn't right for Jill. Jack lost his crown. They divorced on the way down. And then Jill lived happily ever after. Okay, so it's still a little bit of a nursery rhyme because happily ever after didn't happen right away. When you crash and burn, there's a big old mess to clean up, which is really code for sitting in your shit and getting real with yourself. I didn't know that the hill Jack and Jill were climbing was a big smelly pile of shoulds. What I didn't understand was that these shoulds and expectations what they had done, what role they had played in getting me to this point where I was. What I didn't understand was the power of radical decisions. A radical decision that I was going to make and set in motion. Radical, like divorcing Jack 18 months after a big old Catholic wedding. Radical, like accepting, realizing, and saying out loud that I didn't want to have kids. Radical, like falling madly in love with a man 17 years my senior. Radical, like doing a career 180 after spending almost 20 years diligently building something great. Something that I actually kind of liked. Radical, like finding and using my voice. As humans, we think in voice. We think with words. It starts before we've even come out of the womb and taken our first breath. Our parents are talking to us while we're in the womb. And then when we're born, they're telling us what to do, how to feed ourselves, how to talk, what words are, what they mean, how to read. And as we grow and mature, so does our use of these words. It goes beyond just communicating. It becomes ideas, opinions, even creative expression. By definition, expectations involve obligation and duty. As a kid, I was expected to get straight A's in high school, which I did. Be a responsible kid, which I was. Just ask my sisters. Go to college, land an internship in your field of study with the expectation of getting a good job after college. I did all that. But what came after that, what I didn't really notice, were these heavy and really quiet shoulds. The definition of shoulds involves duty, obligation, correctness, even criticism put on you by others. They're the quiet influencers of our decisions. The code of the programming of the operating system that makes us who we are. You can tell I'm not a techie because I don't know if I got that right. But lucky for me, my intuition threw out a virus, and my blue screen of death turned into my blue sky of hope. Hope looked like getting curious, exploring, learning about myself. Author Gretchen Rubin writes about expectations in her book called The Four Tendencies. It's very simple. She talks about the two types of expectations, inner and outer. I call them innies and outies. Innies, the inner expectations, are the ones we put on ourselves. Inner, I. Outer expectations, as you can imagine, are the ones put on us by other people. The combinations of these expectations are what make up the four tendencies. The smallest two groups of the study researched by Gretchen Rubin, there's hundreds of thousands of Americans who participated, and the two smallest groups were upholders and rebels. Upholders respond well to both types of expectations. And as you can imagine, rebels just don't like any of them. They don't like being told what to do either by themselves or anybody else. The middle group, at 26%, are these questioners. I married one the second time. It's going pretty good, by the way. But outer expectations are what make these people ask all the questions. Husband, I'm looking at you. You know how much they annoy me, but you also know how much I learn from you. Inner expectations are where it's at for these people. I'm just going to keep going with the husband here. He decided to say F it to the aging process. So he asked these questions about how he could be his most fit and healthy at his age. He wants to live as long as possible. Of course, because he wants to hang out with me for a long time. But what he did was he asked the questions. He did the research. He made a plan, and I'll be damned if he hasn't been doing it for like 2 or 3 years now. I look at that and see willpower, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so jealous. Because me, as an obliger, a part of the largest group of these folks, don't like inner expectations at all. New Year's resolutions, the best thing I've done with those is the tick marks of how many that haven't gone well. That's about 20 years running. The outer expectations, on the other hand, are where it's at for us. We excel. Give me an outer expectation, I'll knock it out of the park with enthusiasm and excellence. And guess what? That's how I got here. Those expectations gave me this tunnel vision, and I couldn't see the forest through the trees. I was so busy exceeding these expectations that other people had put on me that I didn't really know what the inner expectations were to begin with. And then the shoulds just came in like a fog, in and amongst all of the trees in my forest. I couldn't see anything. But when I kicked my first should to the curb, did that very first radical change, one of my clouds opened up and some sunlight came down. And I just happened to clear another should, cleared another one, and more light started to shine down. And I thought, well, holy crap, I did that. I did that. So by no means am I living under a perpetually sunny Caribbean sky. You can tell by my tan. I have just as many cloudy days as the rest of you. But my difference is that I have figured out how to find my own light. And it's not one of those UV happy lights you can get on Amazon. I use language. I use words. The first 32 chapters of my story were plagiarized from a straight A student who followed all the rules. But when I stopped saying I should and started saying I choose, my story became uniquely my own. And when I stopped saying you should and started saying I encourage you to, I empowered those around me to do the same. What we say, what we think, and what we do is who we become. That's why we call it a life story, right? It's not just a life track or a life checklist. It's a story. It's made up of the words that we choose throughout our lives. As I'm standing here today, I have spent so much time and energy writing, freaking out about the words that I'm telling you right now. I've spent my fair share of time on thesaurus.com trying to find some fancy words to sound smart and sophisticated. Not sure if I hit the mark or not. But I understand and feel the significance and the potential of the reach of what I am doing right now, and the energy that I have spent to make this wonderful and big and powerful for you has come through me. I feel that. And it feels significant. But it's not nearly as significant as the seemingly insignificant moments at home in my sweatpants. These moments happen when the alarm goes off in the morning, and the first thought that pops into my mind, and probably yours too, is, I should get up. I should go to the gym. And I've set myself up for disappointment before my eyes have blinked and I've clutched onto consciousness. It happens all day. She shouldn't be wearing that. Or he needs to help me around the house. He should want to help me. You're shoulding yourself from the moment you wake up in the morning until you finally fall into bed asleep every night. And I don't say that to make you feel guilty, because of course this programming is in us. But we're adults now. We can take responsibility for our programming, and we're smart enough to know that we can change it. You can't unhear what I've just said. And you can't unknow it either. This is awareness. This is what awareness looks like. And with awareness begins a shift. And it starts with deleting should from your vocabulary. In this moment, I'm keenly aware of my voice. And I'm aware of your voice, too. What it sounds like, the message that you're communicating to the people around you. We think in voice. Don Miguel Ruiz writes the 4 agreements, and he describes words beautifully. Oh, should, I forgot my book. Hold, please. Thank you. He writes, the word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is a tool of magic. Depending upon how it is used, the word can set you free, or it can enslave you even more than you know. Stop shoulding yourself and start choosing yourself.
I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I also want to give a big shout out to Invictus Media, who has helped support Speak Up Our Stories. And I want to end with this. It's a common myth or common objection that I hear all the time. It goes a little something like this. I'm afraid of public speaking because I don't think I have anything to say. I think my ideas are good, but I know that somebody else has had those ideas. And to that, I respond this way. Even if hundreds of thousands of people have had your idea, even if hundreds and thousands of people have had similar experiences, there's no one in this world that has your stories, your education, your background, your experiences. And you get to share that with the people around you, in your communities, in your workplace, in your homes, and with yourself. So my encouragement to you is to speak. And I'm looking forward to hearing you speak up your stories. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story. Speak Up Stories exists to empower others to present powerfully in their personal and professional lives. We provide a performance platform to achieve message clarity and speaking confidence. Through preparation, teamwork, unconventional activities, and laughter-filled speaking experiences. Join us for our showcase of stories, speeches, and performances, and find out how you can share your mind and heart and speak up your story.